All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 11 of the Last One, Fast One podcast. We got a great guest tonight, Cooper VanDriessche. I met him off Twitter, and he's an intern for Swimming World, and we're going to do some World Championship predictions. Cooper, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me tonight. I'm really excited to talk some swimming for this next week. It's going to be an exciting week of swimming. I've got my World Championship binder ready.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm ready to talk. I got the psych sheets. I got the US media guide. So I'm ready to talk some swimming because it's going to be an exciting week.
Well, let's do it. So first, before we get into that, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
So I am Cooper VanDriessche. Like you said, I'm an intern for Swim World magazine. I've been writing for them for about almost a year. It's going to be a year in September. I just had an article come out about the young names to watch for the World Championships. So I'm sure I'll bring up some of those names without trying to spoil the whole article. And then I'm also from Southern Indiana, Notre Dame, Go Fighting Irish. So yeah, I love talking swimming. I've been a swimmer my whole life, and I just love swimming. I love the sport. It's done so much for me, so I love being able to talk about it.
Sweet. And do you still swim, or are you retired and you just kind of?
I am. I do still swim. I'm going to be a senior in high school, so at least one more year. We'll see if that's a future. So.
Gotcha. Right. So you're going to be a senior in high school next year.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you're already an intern for Swimming World.
Yeah, that was really awesome that I was able. They only pick a few high schoolers for their intern class, so I was really fortunate that I was able to join them, and it's been an awesome time and able to connect with fellow interns, and I just really enjoy writing, especially when it's about swimming.
Gotcha. For sure. Yeah, that's sweet. See, I thought you were a little older because you're an intern, so I was like, he's probably a little bit older. No, that's awesome. You're definitely gonna have.
That's a lot of people think, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have a one up on a lot of people in the writing world, at least.
I hope so.
Yeah, sweet. So, World Championships. Let's dive right in. I'll probably be asking you most of the questions here.
All right.
I know the big names and I know stuff, but I haven't really done a full deep dive research. But let's just start off. What are some events that you're really looking forward to? Both
so the first one I wanted to talk about was the women's 400 free. We know Ariane Titmus just broke the world record, but she won't be swimming because she's focusing on the Commonwealth Games, which I get because with this interesting schedule of Worlds this year, and it's going to be next year, and Fina wasn't sure if there was going to be a Worlds. I get that there's that decision. A lot of people aren't going to be swimming, which is bumming for us swimming fans because we won't be able to see a Titmus-Ledecky battle with Ledecky opting out of the duel in the pool. But in the women's 400 free, there are a lot of names that are all on the 4-minute barrier, and it's going to be interesting. Of course, with Kayla Ledecky, can she get that world record back? I don't think she can. I think she's past that. I think that is Ariane Titmus's record.
I agree.
But and there's still the thought that she could, but I think it's Ariane Titmus is that young name, and Ledecky is getting older. She's reaching that later stages in her career, and I'm not saying it could be like a Federica Pellegrini where she continues to swim, but maybe is not that record holder or winning. But I think they're obviously two different swimmers, so it's hard to compare that way. But I think that record does belong to Ariane Titmus. But I think there's some other big names in the 400 as I have this sheet pulled up right here. I think Summer McIntosh from Canada is a big name. And then also a youngster from New Zealand, Erica Fairweather. I wrote about her in my recent article. I think she's kind of a dark horse. Yes, she's seated in the top 8. Mm-hmm. Right above American star Leah Smith, but I think those young names are trying to take over the sport, especially around the world and definitely in the U.S.
For sure. And how many are under that 4-minute barrier?
It's just Ledecky, but there are 3 at 4:01, and then Fairweather comes in at 4:02. So okay. I think because I was listening to another podcast earlier, and they were talking about watching Titmus break the world record and go the 3:56.
Right.
That's going to bring in a boatload of swimmers to go under that 4-minute and possibly go a 3:58, which is going to be really exciting to watch. And I hope that happens within this next week.
For sure. How many do you think are going under 4? How many swimmers?
I think we're going to have at least 3, possibly 4. I think those seeds 2 through 4 are really have a good possibility of breaking 4, and I think it's going to be a good race. I don't think Ledecky's going to walk away with it like she's had in years past. So I'm excited to watch. And Katie Ledecky's the GOAT, not taking anything away from what she's done in the pool, but it's gonna be a challenge, even with Ariane Timmis opting out of this competition.
Right. And what did Ledecky go at World Team Trials? You know.
I don't have that one down. Her entry time is from what it looks like Tokyo 3:57. I think she went at 3:59. I remember saying she was happy to break 4. That was where she wanted to be. And I know she wasn't fully tapered, but and I'll get into this later, but the Florida Gators had an outstanding freestyle showing at Champ Trials.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So who you got with the win? Women's 400 free.
I'm going to stick with Katie Ledecky. I think without Timmis being there, it's going to go to her. But then there's also those young names that you never know about. But I go with Katie Ledecky. Going around a 3:57, no world record, possibly a 3:56, but no world record. And Katie Ledecky is going to win the World Championship in the 400 free.
Yeah, I think so too. I think ever since she's been down in Florida training with Anthony Nest, I think she's going to kind of maybe be a little faster than Tokyo personally, or right near that mark. But I think a new training group for her is really gonna help her out. But I agree with you. No world record. I don't think she'll ever get that one back. I hope so. That'd be cool. But I don't think so.
Right. It's always fun watching world records, especially when they're in favor of the U.S. I'm going to try my best not to be U.S. biased, but of course it's always hard.
Oh yeah.
I know Rowdy gets a lot of that. I've had the honor of working with him before, and he says he just goes with the flow when it comes to the U.S. bias. So yeah, well, I'll do my best to stay away from that, but the first one is going to go to Katie Ledecky.
Yeah, for sure. I have to admit, I have major U.S. bias. So USA, baby, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's I want to move over to the men's 400 IM. This is probably one of my most exciting races I'm most excited for. There's just a lot of young names in there, and I think it starts with Carson Foster.
Oh, Carson Foster is definitely the name to look out for.
Right.
I just hope that he can perform, because he has in recent years struggled at those bigger meets, and it was good seeing him make the team in April. But I don't want it to be another trials performance for him at World Championships.
Right. Yeah, I was in the stands at trials, and I saw him get mowed down there at the end. So that's crazy.
He died hard there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we all have those races, and hopefully it's not on that stage, but.
Right. Let's see here. I'm looking at the psych sheet here. So, what's Carson Foster's best time? Is it 4:08?
Yeah, I think he went that at that meet in July, right? Because he went what would have been the number 1 time in the world. Yeah, 4:08.46 is what I have his best time at.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think he'll rise to the occasion, or do you think he's gonna struggle?
I don't know. I watched it. I know it's hard to compare a short course meet to a long course meet, but NC Ways just didn't go the way I thought it would for him.
Right.
4 a.m. after a second place finish last year. I think I definitely think he has the capability to do it. He's one of those swimmers that is rising up. Him and his brother have both been big names in the U.S. for the past couple of years, but I'm just worried that that'll have a performance like trials, because can he perform? We know he can perform at those smaller level meets like a Speedo sectionals in July, but can he perform when the rest of the competition is there? And I think he, of course, has a capability. When you're training under Eddie Reese, how can you not have that? One of the best coaches ever. So I think he does have the capability, but I do want to say this. I don't think Chase Kalish will win after watching him at U.S. trials. I think he's kind of like the Phelps after the 2008 era when he came back in 2012 and got 4th. I think that's kind of what we're seeing Chase Kalish step away, especially when he almost got beat by Bobby Fink, that was probably my favorite race of the Champ trials. But I love watching Bobby Fink's last 50. Oh yeah, and I thought he had him at the wall. So
yeah, I was watching that. I was rooting for Bobby, but it sounds like in the interview that Kalish is a pretty good guy, and he was kind of coaching Carson up. So it's cool to see that. What do you think of Leon Marsh? I don't know how to say his last name. Marchand. He swims for Arizona State. He represents France at the national meets. I think he was a 4:10 at one of the pro swim series, and he had a stellar NCAAs that he just absolutely popped off. And I think he was 137, 2 IM. Crazy. But what do you think he's going to do in the long course action? And do you think he's gonna find the podium?
I think this 4 a.m. was definitely one of the more interesting races, just because it always, like, it can be one way one year and totally flipped on its head the next year. I know and a seeding is about 8th-ish. I think there's always a podium chance, especially when he's made a name for himself, like Arizona State with Bob Bowman, and I think he does have a chance. I mean, really, if he makes it in the final Haviland, you have a chance. I think the biggest example of that is when the U.S. won gold from lane 1. And then, right. And then I think in the 400, I don't remember his name, but he won gold at the Tokyo Olympics in lane 8. So you have a lane, you have a chance. And if he makes it into that final, I think any of those men are going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And I know that, what is it that I'm horrible at names, but that Dae Sato.
Yeah.
I know he's balled out before. So I'm personally going. I think both Foster and Leon will find the podium personally. But I'm not sure who I'd call for a win. I think the guy from Japan, he's going to be a tough one to beat though as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Sato from Japan. I just think he's one of those that he's like Chase Kalish has been at the top of the 4 a.m. for a long time, but I think this is going to be his race and in Budapest.
Gotcha. But I definitely agree with you. I do think Carson has the ability to win. He's just going to have to put together that perfect race. But I think he's got the cards to do it. It's just a matter if he can step up and knock it out. So what are some other races or what are some big storylines kind of going into this World Championship?
Well, we talked about Bobby Fink, and I'm a big Bobby Fink fan, so of course I'm going to pick the 800.
Okay.
And even the 1500. So that, of course, Bobby's not seated first, but he is, I think, based on times, he has a recent faster time. In the 800, he's seated 5th with his time from Tokyo, and I think I'm really excited to watch Bobby. That last 50 is just absolutely insane, like untouchable. And I think, and now after seeing him at Tokyo, I think his competition knows what he does. It's gonna be interesting how they react, how they adjusted to it.
Yeah. And what do you what did Bobby Fink split? What was his last 50 in Tokyo? Do you know?
Crazy fast. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I just know it was insane. Like, watching, it was just crazy. Like, he wasn't even Dan Hicks and Rowdy Gaines weren't even talking about him going in the last 100, and then out of nowhere he balls out and just goes crazy. He went in the 1500, he went a 25.7 the last 50.
Well, what did you say he went? 25.7?
Yeah, 25.7.
Jeez. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's
crazy.
That is so fast. At 1500. Yeah, that's a good point. How talking about what other competitors will do, because at this point it's kind of like if you're not like 3 seconds ahead of Bobby Fink last 50, you're screwed. So right. It's very interesting point. Yeah.
And even like Chase Kalish in this totally different race with the 4 a.m. It looked like he had 2 body lengths on Bobby going that last 100, and Bobby almost beat him. So it might be even more than that 3 seconds you mentioned, just because who knows how much I'm going to assume he put quite a bit to go 25.7 the last 50 in Tokyo.
Right.
That was 1 year later, but how much was that? Could he put more in? Did he know that at that point that the race was his? I mean, I'm sure there's more. Of course, he put it all in the tank, but I think we can see a faster last 50 out of Bobby Fink.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's interesting that at World Trials, like he was kind of the man to beat. Like going into Tokyo, he was under the radar, and I think he took a lot of people by storm just having the meet that he did. So I think it'll be super interesting to see what he'll do and also what his competitors will do. Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, my favorite thing about this is that USA distance swimming is back. For a long time, USA, that was the weakest part for the US. I think one of my favorite stories would be, it's called Four Champions, One Gold Medal. It's the story of the 76 1500. And it's three guys, and two of them that live in California, essentially fighting each other's practice so they could see what they were doing in practice. And that's just one of my favorite 1500 stories. That was one of the last great times the U.S. was great in that event. And now we've seen with Bobby Fink being able to win on that level is great again. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So did you say he has like the fastest most recent time? Was there anyone that beat his Tokyo time over this last year?
No, not that's entered.
Gotcha.
Ahead of him, so.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think, other than there's a guy from Ukraine who I'll totally butcher the last name, and then Florian Wellbrock from Germany is the only other one that went at the Tokyo Olympics, but Bobby won in the final, and of course we all know what happened in that final. So
right. Let's talk about the 100 fly, the men's 100 fly, and I mean the average swim fan probably thinks that Dressel's got it in the bag, but if you look back to Tokyo, that 100 fly was very contested, and we can't overlook Christoph Milak. I think that's how you say his name.
Close enough.
From Hungary, and he was 49.6, and Dressel was 49.4. I don't know. It's obviously in between those two. I'm pretty sure no one else is going to be even right in there. Who do you think is going to prevail there? And tell me what you think.
Well, U.S. has a history of prevailing in close races in the 100 fly. 2008, 100th of a second.
True.
And then again in 2009. So I'm going to give it to Dressel. I think he is really a force to be reckoned with. And I don't think I think he had an awesome summer last year, but even he said he didn't think he was at his best because like they had a 4-year plan for Tokyo and it ended up being an extra year. So I think Caleb Dressel is going to win this one. I love the way Caleb swims is another force to be reckoned with, and not disparaging what Christoph is water, but I think it's going to go to Caleb.
What do you think? I mean, obviously Dressel took kind of a little break, and I think it took him a little bit to kind of get back to where he wanted. What did Christoph do on the post Olympic year? Do you know? Do you know if he's done anything?
I don't know. Of course, it's always easier to keep up with the U.S. swimmers because they're constantly. But then there is always that. Does a break hurt one swimmer more than another swimmer? Do this taking a break take advantage of that? And that's another thing that's going to be interesting. So I think we just have to see. I mean, it's always until you see them in the water in the pool. It's going to be. It could change. 1,000 different things could happen. I mean, we've already seen athletes drop out, like Adam Peaty and then Duncan Scott with COVID-19. I mean, it's crazy. And then others will have just doing the Commonwealth Games. So I don't know. I mean, I think Caleb is going to bring home the win in that. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a good race, like a lot of these events in Budapest.
Yeah. So I did a little research here. It says Christoph went 51.03 at the Hungarian Nationals, but it seems like he probably wouldn't have to be tapered at all to make the team. I don't know if is there another stud? I don't even know how they do the team selection for Hungary, but is there?
Yeah, I guess their next one when a 50.
Go ahead.
Sorry to you off.
No, you're good.
Swimmer won a 51.4, but that was from what looks like their Olympic trials for Tokyo. So that is a year ago. So I don't know if he was being challenged because there's so many trials to keep up with. So
Right.
I can't imagine that he was too challenged with his and going to 51 when he's entered with a 49.6. So
Yeah.
I have to imagine he wasn't too challenged in that race.
It's just crazy to me. Yeah, I feel like swimming is just so hard to make predictions because like a lot of these guys you don't know like how rested they are for meets, and a lot of people perform.
Right.
Like if you look at Dressel, like if he'll go to the pro swim series and he'll get like 7th or 6th, and he doesn't even care. And then come World Championships, he's gonna go crazy. So I mean, it's hard to know what Milak will do. But I mean, if he's in Tokyo shape, I think it's gonna be it's gonna be really close. I think it'll be close, but it's hard to know after those Olympic years.
Right, and the 100 fly also has a storyline behind it on the Australian side with Cody Simpson, with Kyle Chalmers saying he didn't want to swim, and then Cody Simpson makes the team, and suddenly it changes. I mean, the whole thing is weird. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out too.
Right.
Cody Simpson's whole story is crazy. A pop star to a national teamer in Australia, like, blows my mind. But even then, you never know.
Yeah, is he getting the opportunity to swim at Worlds?
Cody Simpson isn't, but he will. He will swim at Commonwealth because they take 3 at Commonwealth.
Gotcha.
From each country.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that'll be a good race. Let's talk about the 50 free. I think Dressel's got that one locked down. I don't think there's anyone that's even gonna be close really to Dressel on that.
Yeah, I think that is definitely Dressel's race. He's definitely shown that over the past couple years. I mean, he's seeded almost 4/10 faster than the next person, and Ben Proud from Great Britain, and I think it's Caleb's race. I mean, I think if the more we talk about him, the more that's going to be said. But again, nothing's going to be easy for Caleb. I mean, when you face this elite competition, it's always a challenge, and they'll always say that too, whether they're bluffing or not. It's always going to be a challenge. So
yeah, and what do you think of let's talk a little bit about Michael Andrew. What do you think Michael Andrew is going to be able to do? I mean, if you think back to, it seems like he hasn't really had a very good he didn't really have a very good Olympic Games probably to what he would want to. I mean, he was part of the world record team, but like not close to his trial times really. And if you look back at, I think it was 2019, pretty disappointing performance for him there. I remember he swam faster at the Pro Swim Series in Des Moines than he did at the 2019 World Championships. Do you think Michael Andrew is going to have a good meet? Or let's talk a little bit about his events and tell me what you think about him.
It depends how he tapered USRPT. I've trained USRPT, so I'm pretty fortunate to know how it works. I've written an article about it.
Right.
And going into Tokyo, I'm not sure how he tapered and going into 2019 Worlds, but going into Tokyo, he was doing what not USRPT taper calls for. Mm-hmm. It's just part of he was going all out constantly. It's race pace, but there's also it's also with USRPT you want to build up to that race pace. You don't want to go hit it immediately because then you'll kill your body. It's not like a lactic acid set. You have to build up to that pace. And of course you want to go fast all the time, but you have to build up to that. And he was going way too fast in a taper that I think he just killed his body. And I don't really know how to explain his 2 IM last 50. That's a mystery to me, honestly. But I think the 50 and the breaststroke is going to be his best chance to medal, and possibly medal in the 50 free. And then I think he has it with Adam Peaty being out. I think there's that possibility of him winning the 100 breast. So it really just comes down to how is he doing his taper for USRPT, and right. that will break down everything.
I think Michael Andrew is going to have a breakout meet finally at the international stage. I think it's about due. I think that'd be really disappointing. That'd be like three 3 big meets in a row, like World Championship, Olympic level. That didn't really go his way. I think he gets a silver in the 100 breaststroke. I think Kaminga, I saw he was sub 59 like 2 times already within this calendar year, and I know Michael Andrew was definitely sub 59, wasn't he, at World Champ trials? But I think Kaminga's just done it more consistently, and I think he's got a higher ceiling. I mean, he's been 57. If Adam Peaty didn't exist, like Kaminga would be like bowed down to.
Right.
And he's been second so many times to Peaty, it seems like. I think he gets the job done. But I don't know if you saw Michael Andrew. Did you watch Michael Andrew's vlog?
I didn't know.
Yeah, so he seemed like he was pretty stoked with his breaststroke. He did like a 50 all out. And then they had him like rest like 30 or 40 seconds. And then he did another 50, and I think he was like 27 low. And then 29 mid on the way back. So I think he's going to be fast. I don't think he's going to get Kaminga. Let's talk about the other American breaststroker in this race, Nick Fink. Because if you look at his World Champ trials, that guy popped off.
Oh yeah,
big time.
I mean, I was shocked with how he performed. I mean, I know Nick Fink's been on the U.S. top tier level for years, but I was not expecting those type of swims for him.
Right,
and especially this stage in his career. He is getting older.
Right,
it is harder to go fast when you get older, unless, of course, you're Michael Phelps, who seems to never slow down with age. His swims were amazing at World Champ trials.
Yeah, he was a 58.37. I mean, I think a lot of people overlook the Nick Fink in this because Michael Andrews in it, and Michael Andrews just the bigger name. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Nick Fink even took out Michael Andrew. But I do think Michael Andrew is going to get the silver, Kaminga the gold. And I don't really know too much about Nicolo Martinelli, but I definitely could see 2 Americans getting medals there, and I think that would be exciting for American breaststroke.
Oh yeah,
silver,
definitely.
bronze. I think that'd be big time. It's crazy to look at some of the times, just how fast it's getting. Like 2016, you got Cody Miller going 58.8, and that was the American record. And now it just seems like shaving time off. It's just getting faster and faster.
And honestly, I mean, the U.S. has always really struggled to. We've always had great breaststrokers. Brendan Hansen is another one that comes to mind. But then there's always Kitajima that was always on top of him, ahead of him, and now it's Adam Peaty for the rest of the world. So it's not. I mean, for as greatest breaststroke the U.S. has had, there's always been at least one other person that's just been this much above the rest, and that's all you need. I mean, you just need to be this much better. And I mean, sure, if you ask Brendan Hansen, you're going to say Kitajima cheated with the dolphin kick before it was allowed in breaststroke. But I mean, a race is a race, and if it doesn't get caught, I mean, it's only cheating if you get caught, I guess. But I mean, like I said, there's always been that one for ahead, and for breaststroke for the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's it seems like Americans get third a lot. Like it seems like they're always like, just get the medal. But when is the last time an American won the 100 breaststroke? Do you know? Is that I have no idea.
I think it's been a while. Maybe definitely not this. I don't think this century. I think possibly the last time would have been 1996, but I can look.
Wow.
And it was in 1992 was the last time an American won.
Unbelievable.
Nelson Dibble.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a while. And then before that, it was 4 straight gold medals for the U.S.
Wow. And does that count like World Championships or Olympics?
That is just the Olympics.
Okay.
So that was the last time they won at the Olympic level. And I don't Let me check the USA Swimming media guide, and it says in there the last time they won a medal in that event. So it's been a while, and
That's just crazy
like
to me, just to think about that.
It really is. I mean, it's not like those breaststrokers haven't been there. I mean, Cody Miller.
Right. I mean, it's been Petey for so long, though. It's been Petey since like 2015, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's when he started to come on, and he stayed there. I mean, no one's been able to touch him, and his breaststroke is so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was a definite shock. But I think that just makes it a little more exciting. Well, maybe not. I mean, it's always exciting to see if Petey will go 56 or something. But it just throws it up in the air a little bit. Like the doors are wide open.
I mean, and I think that with these big names not being able to swim like Titmus and like Petey, it just opens the door for that next swimmer that you may have never heard of,
right?
If they would have swam at the meet. And I think it can also be that's kind of, you can relate it to the Olympic trials when, let's say, it would have happened 2020, would Lydia Jacoby have made the team?
Right.
And would these other young stars have made the team? And I really don't think they would have. I think the extra year helped them more than it hurt. Well, it hurt some of those veterans, because when you get older, it hurt. When you training longer, it hurts. It does break down your body a little bit. So I think it did hurt. And although, like, I had a former teammate, Bethany Gallett, I think if the Tokyo Olympics would have been held in 2020, she would have made the team, but she finished fourth. So I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's heartbreaking trials, but it's also one of the most exciting meets in the country. So
yeah, see that also, I think like with older swimmers, it beat them up that extra year. I think with Lochte, I know there's a lot of Lochte hate out there, but I'm a big Lochte fan. So I was at the trials, and I went to the 2 IM, and I was really rooting for him. I think he got like 7th or something. But I think if the Olympics are in 2020, I think he's 3rd, 2nd, 1st. I think he's in the mix a lot better than he was in 2021.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think like that 4-year plan that I heard Caleb Russell talk about, I think Olympics in 2020, we see the final stride for Ryan Lochte goes out on a huge high note. And I think it really just sucks for him, because I've always been a Ryan Lochte fan.
There we go.
Even through everything that happened in Rio. I just think that 2020, that extra year, really did hurt him, and he's older. And you can't be mad with. I mean, you can be upset that you make the team, but with age, it's hard. You won't, especially with these youngsters coming on. It feels like every other month you hear about some young star breaking a record. I mean, you can't be that too surprised they didn't make the team.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about the men's 100 backstroke. So we got Hunter Armstrong and Ryan Murphy for the Americans. I think I'm super pumped for the 100 back.
Oh, I think this is one of the best, another one of those good events to watch. I mean, there's so many of them.
Right. Let's look at the psych sheets here. Men's 100 back. Who's seated first, you know?
I think it was Ryan Murphy. I think I wrote that earlier. And I think Hunter Armstrong was actually seated second, right behind him. I'm almost positive that was.
Oh, here we go. I got him. Yeah, yep, Ryan Murphy, Hunter Armstrong. And I think those Russian swimmers are out, aren't they? Was it gold medalist last year from Russia?
Yeah, they won the gold. Gold and silver, because I think Murphy got bronze in the 100.
Gotcha.
Which, I mean, I totally get their past with doping, but the way Ryan Murphy really pawned off that blame game is not something I totally supported at the time. But here's his chance to be on top, especially because it was. I totally get the U.S. backstroke pressure. The U.S. was so dominant in backstroke for so many years. I mean, I totally get there's pressure, but as soon as you go blaming someone else, and it automatically kind of discredits what you just did in the pool. I mean, you just have to kind of own up to what you did. You swam what you got. And Olympic bronze medal is nothing to be super disappointed about. So many those other 5 swimmers in the pool that didn't get that bronze medal, I would sure would love to trade places and go home with a medal. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think Hunter Armstrong is going to get the gold, and I think he's going to take kind of the torch here soon of that American backstroker to beat. But I think I tweeted out something, the consistency Ryan Murphy's had through the years. Oh man, it's been like 51 hot, 51 9, 52 low, 52 low, 52 low. He's always in the mix, and he's done it for so long. He's been so consistent. I wonder how much longer he can keep doing it. Let's see. He's 27, is that right? Almost 27. So he's getting older. I think got a couple more years maybe before things maybe start going down. But I think Hunter Armstrong is gonna get the win. He seems like he's kind of on top of the world right now. 50 back is the same way, world record holder. Who do you got winning the 100 back? Do you got Murphy?
Hunter Armstrong.
Hunter Armstrong. Yeah, I agree.
He's down, and I'm also going to be interested. He's like he said, he's stepping away from college swimming, but he's also going to Cal. To go with his coach, Matt Bowe. And it was definitely an interesting place to go at this time. Especially with everything going on at Cal, which is a whole nother story in itself that I could talk about for a long time. But I think that Hunter Armstrong definitely has the capability, and it will take home the World Championship. And that I think that the improvement he showed from last year. It's not like he was some scrub last year. He's an Olympic gold medalist because he was on the prelims for the relay, but I think it's his time to shine, especially in the 100 back and backstroke in general. I mean, right. And like I was saying, the improvement, he was 19th in the 100 free at Olympic trials, and he got 4th 2 months ago, and he is on the relay now. Like, crazy improvement he made.
Yeah, I think it's crazy how young he is too. I think he's 21.
He is 20.
He's 20.
No, yeah, you're right. He's 21. 21, you're right. Sorry.
It's just insane.
This extra year threw me off.
Right. I think let's talk about the 50 back a little bit. I think a lot of people are talking about Hunter Armstrong, but I don't think we can forget about Justin Ress. So he's going to be able to swim it because he qualified for the relay. I think he qualified 6th. So then I think he was able to swim the 50 back. Did he go under he was under the American record. I know, the old American record.
Yeah, he was.
In the 50 back.
I wasn't sure if he's under the world record and that too, but I mean, he's only 2/10 away from Hunter Armstrong's best time, and in a 50, who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that Hunter Armstrong doesn't have the capability to re-break his world record,
right?
But I think Justin Ress has that possibility of winning too. I also want to point out, like, the most medals the U.S. has ever won at World Championships in 2017 with 40 medals. With people opting out, I think they have a possibility to get to that number again, but I don't. Those years following Rio, like 2017, 2019, crazy for the U.S. when it was on the World Championship stage. And if the Olympics would have been in Tokyo in 2020, I think it would have been a little bit more successful than it ended up being. Because if I'm going to be completely honest, when I watched Tokyo Olympics, it was kind of disappointing with some of the performances, especially in the relays. And I think if it would have been a year earlier, it would have been the U.S. would have shined even more. Absolutely.
And I think, that's a great point. And I think going back to Justin, I think, and swimmers like Ryan Held that didn't make the Olympic team in 2021, I think for them, missing the Olympic team kind of makes a better swim for 2022. Because I think a lot of I think a lot of those swimmers that made the team, I mean, that you look at Zach Apple, he split like a 46 on the relay, and then he doesn't even make the team. And I think that's normal for a lot of swimmers. I'm sure he'll be back, but it's that post-Olympic year can be tough. I think motivation-wise, especially for the people that made it. But I think for this other swimmers like Justin and Ryan, they kind of have some fire that kind of makes them go.
And like that point you said, those post-Olympic years are always difficult for a lot of swimmers. I mean, if you come to mind, Elizabeth Beisel said the hardest year she ever had was the 2012. After 2012 was those 2013. Was that 2013 year, just because she was on such a high following the Olympics, and that those 2 weeks span was, she said, was some of the best time of her life. And when you're with that group of people, you're never going to be with that exact group of people again, whether it's due to retirement, doesn't make the team. You're with that group for really one competition, and it will never be the same again. So yeah. I mean, and I think and a lot of swimmers have to overcome that. And I was super bummed for Lydia Jacoby not making the team. I think she's one of the next big U.S. stars. I was rooting for her. I've never been a huge Lily King fan. I don't think those. I
don't think it. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think anyone's a big Lily King fan out there, man. She's. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some young swimmers, but I agree with you. I was also rooting for Lydia. I'm kind of like the younger one. I think the problem for Lydia is just she's still in Alaska training, right? I can't imagine she has that good of a group. Maybe she does. I mean, I actually have no idea. But for Alaska, I feel like once she moves down to Texas, like she's gonna get some crazy training, and she's gonna go down.
They have one 50-meter pool in Alaska. She doesn't train in it. I mean, not saying you have to train a 50-meter pool to make a team, because you don't. But I think once she goes on to Texas, and with that national runner-up finish the women had at NC2As, I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I agree. She's going to be back, and I know she's going to Junior Pan Packs. But was she third? Did she qualify third? Or she didn't qualify, sorry.
Did she third or fourth?
Third or fourth. Yeah, it was interesting. Annie Laser getting second in the 100. I didn't think she had that in her, but she did it. And she didn't make the 200, but she made the 100, right?
She was one person because she was the one person that came back and really threw a wrench into my teammates' plans of making the team.
Oh, really?
Bethany's one of the down-to-earth people. She would never say that, but of course I'm going to pick up on that. And so I know they played when her father died at trials. They played that story on NBC, and I made sure I wasn't going to listen because I didn't need to feel bad for this girl and root against my own teammates. So I mean, good for Annie Laser making the team. I think she's definitely had one of those interesting stories. You retire, come back. Those are always fun stories to listen to. So I mean, I mean, you can't despair someone for going faster.
For sure. Yeah, I like Annie Laser. I think it was fun to see her qualify, but I definitely can imagine if you had a teammate that was almost to qualify, you would be like, dang. Right. Yeah. What about let's see, what other big races am I missing? Fill me in.
I think we should go over some of the relays. We haven't really
let's do some relays.
Let's go do the men's 4x1 free.
Okay. So we got Dressel, we got Brooks Curry. Who else is in that mix?
I want to start off with Brooks Curry, one of those swimmers, that scrawny little kid that you never would think is this absolute beast. He's great. He's so much fun to watch. Another one of those that's so much fun to watch. I just think I'm looking at the other entry times in this event. I'm not really sure who the U.S. is going to put on this relay. Definitely Hunter Armstrong is going to be somewhere in there. I think he'll definitely be probably a prelim swimmer. If I had to guess, but again, that could always change. I don't know if he has some crazy swim in prelims like Cullen Jones did 14 years ago. He might swim at night. But I think that the U.S. is definitely going to win this one. I mean, there's some streaks to keep alive. And I think the U.S. is going to be stronger here. I mean, they won the 4x1 in Tokyo, but I think this is going to be another climb up too. So.
Yeah. Who else is on that relay? Do you know that 4x100 free?
I don't know off the top. I don't see in the U.S. media guide. There's so many events. I don't see it. I think what I was reading is that it's still a lot to be determined. So and I try to stay away from that when I was writing my one article, just because I don't know what could change. So
Right.
I don't know who's going to be on that relay, but I do think just the U.S. is past dominant. I mean, the 4x1 is one of those events that if I want to call a race for the U.S. to win, it would be the 4x1 medley relay men, because that's the race that they've never lost at the Olympic Games.
Right.
In the modern era. And the 4x1 is always one of those races that could be another one of those countries, but I think that the U.S. has it this time. But again, entry times are always deceiving because it's different people.
Right. So I pulled up the relay. So if it was swum 1 through 4, and then the last 5, 6 doing prelims. So it's Caleb Dressel 1, Brooks Curry 2nd, Ryan Held was 3rd, Drew Kibler was 4th, Hunter Armstrong was 4th, tied for 4th as well, and Justin Rice was 6th. So it's going to be those mix.
I think Drew Kibler will definitely be on the final, the nighttime relay, or whatever, the nighttime relay in Budapest, whatever time that ends up being here in the U.S. I think he's one of those swimmers, another one from Indiana, that has really just exploded. He was a great swimmer in high school, but he's been an even better swimmer at Texas, and that just goes to show you how great of a coach Eddie Reese is. He's done it hundreds of swimmers, so I mean, heck of a swimmer. So I think Drew Kibler is going to be on that relay. And he's in the 2 free 2, and I think he's got some pretty good chances in that to medal.
Absolutely. What about let's see. What other relays should we hit? What about the women's 4x1 100 freestyle relay? How did they do in Tokyo?
I think they got it was third. Okay. I remember being really upset because I think we were at least going to get second, and then Simone Manuel with I don't really know what overtraining syndrome is. I was confused when I first heard about that, but I don't know. We got caught in the end, and we got beat. So I think maybe Canada, if I had to guess. But Australia definitely won. I think Australia is going to win that relay. They've just shown they've got the talent in the sprinters. I mean, the two Campbell sisters aren't swimming this at Worlds, but they show they have that sprinter talent, and they've really brought it up since Rio.
Yeah, I think it might be tough for the I mean, it's just the young. They got Tori and Claire on that relay. They're young, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're fast, but they're young, and I think Erica Brown and Natalie Hines. Natalie, she's a little bit older, isn't she?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be interesting. What about the 4x2 on the woman's side?
I think that's another one that Australia has. I just think in the relays they're just so hard to beat, especially in freestyle. I mean, yes, Ariane Timmis isn't going to be there, but I just think they have enough of that depth.
Right.
I mean, it's really about depth, and I think that's going to go to Australia too.
Gotcha. All right. Let's talk about who's your breakout swimmer of the meet. Who you going with? Who's going to have the best meet if you had to pick one? Let's start. You get one man and you get one woman. You can pick.
Okay, so I'm going to go with an underdog here. We didn't talk about him at all. I think Matthew Sates from South Africa. I think he's a huge underdog. Great performance in the 500 at NC2As. I think it's one of those swimmers entered in 5 events.
I think he got sick.
Yeah, he did get sick, and he said that this wasn't the main meet he's training for, but I do think he does have that possibility. And I don't know, being sick is so hard to judge because you don't really know how sick one person is.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. I mean, yeah, he's training more for Commonwealth Games. That doesn't mean he can't have a good meet. And then I'm kind of going 2 here, but I'm also going to go with Carson Foster. I think this is going to be his meet. I think he's going to finally get past whatever that was in 2021. I think he's going to be able to win the 4 IM. and be competitive in the 2 IM as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me, I think it's gonna kind of stay with I think Dresch is gonna have a standout meet, which it seems like he always does, and I think Michael Andrews gonna get in that mix and finally get that individual medal at a World Championship stage or Olympics. 'Cause I don't think he has one, does he? Other than the relay.
I don't think he does. I think yeah, you're right. I think he is only a relay medalist.
Which for a guy like Michael Andrew, that shocks me that he doesn't have a an individual medal at any sort of Olympic
long course
right, or World Championship, which I think he's only been to 2, which would have been 2019 and then 2021. Was he on anything? Well, was he on anything in 2018 or not?
I don't think
they didn't have a World Championships, did they? It was like a Pan Pacs, right?
No, 27. Yeah, it would have been 2017, 2018. I don't think he was on that team. I think this team, there's 34 first-time World Championship.
Wow.
And then this is Michael Andrews' second selection for the World Championship team. So
yeah, that'll be interesting. And then on the women's side, I think Katie's gonna win the 400, 800, 1500. So I think that name's gonna stand out to a lot of people.
And although it breaks my heart to say this because I'm a huge Natalie Coughlin fan, one of the best swimmers ever. Natalie Coughlin holds the most total medals ever won by a woman at World Championships with 20. But Kayla Ledecky's right there at 18, and I think Ledecky will surpass Natalie after this World Championships. Sure. So Natalie had a long run there, but it's Kayla Ledecky's. It's her turn to take over those reins. So yeah.
Absolutely. What about Shane Cassis? Do you think he's gonna find the podium? He's only in the 200 back.
Yeah, I don't. Shane Cassis is so. For me, it just feels like one of those guys that's super unpredictable. I mean, with everything that happened right before trials last year, and then the transfer to Texas. Well, I mean, it was to Texas, right? From A&M to Texas.
I'm not sure what he did, but I think he went from I think he's done with college swimming, but I think he was at A&M.
Yeah, because I think he left A&M to train with Texas just as their pro. And I mean, he could have a good meet, but then I don't know. He's iffy for me. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited to see what Luca Orlando will do in the 200 fly, because I remember a couple of years ago he was like a 153 at the Pro Swim Series, and I think a lot of people are like, "Holy smokes!" And then he hasn't beat that time since. I think it's a 153 high, and he was 154 low. I think he's gonna have a great meet. I think he'll be 153 mid. I think he'll get a best time. Obviously, he's not gonna beat Kristoff, but I could see him finding the podium, finding a medal for sure in that race.
And then I also want to talk, because this is one part of our sport that doesn't get enough love. I think open water. I think Michael Brinegar, Olympian son, Jennifer Hooker, was on the 76 Olympic team, and that she swam the prelims of that amazing 4x100 freestyle relay that beat the East Germans, one of my best swimming documentaries ever, The Last Gold. I think he's got some good chance in the open water. Jennifer seems to see that. Jennifer told me that he's training great right now, so I'm excited to see what's in store for him too in the open water part of it, because it really just sucks that we never hear enough of it from USA Swimming when it comes to posting about it, and it's just another part of our sport. And even Bobby Fink says it's a whole different beast. So
yeah, for sure. For me, it's like so I run now, but it's kind of like it would be like track and field, and then like ultra marathons. Like some of those swimming races just go so long. So is it the same time? Because I'll be honest, I'm one of those people that I don't pay attention to open water. Is it the same time as World Championships?
No, I think the main and water portion was the first week, and then the open water was the following week.
Okay. So is Katie Grimes swimming the open water?
I think she was. I wasn't sure, but I think she was swimming the open water.
Yeah, I'd be so fascinated to learn how she trains.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know, like, cause I don't know. She'll swim like the 10K, won't she? Open water. Like,
yeah, she's super distance.
I don't know how you go from like the 400 free to like the 10K. It's just so insane to me.
Yeah, I think she's definitely one of those. It doesn't say on here that she's swimming any open water, so it looks like she's just in the pool. But then I don't know. I don't know. That could have been before she decided to. So.
Gotcha. And who do you got as like dark horse, like underdog? Or if there's one person that's like complete underdog, do you know anyone on the top of your head that like you think would have a breakout?
Leah Smith. I think she was off last year, didn't make the team, but I think she's back. I think she's been on that place. She's an Olympic medalist, so we could see her get back on the podium. Not necessarily win any events, but I think that she definitely has the possibility. She's a veteran. She's a veteran on that team. She's one of the older people on it. Especially with the younger team. I think the average age is 21.
Yeah.
With a lot of teenagers. So I think Leah Smith is that dark horse too.
I like it. What else? What else you got? You got anything else, or do you think we got the gist of it? Do you any more things I missed? Any big storylines?
I think we talked about a lot of the main events that are going to happen. I mean, of course, there's always going to be that one event that surprises you. Like if you would have told me that a 50 back world record would have been broken 2 months ago, I would have said you were crazy.
Right.
But I think we got most of the main events that we know that those main stars are going to be in. I think it's just going to be a great meet, and I'm really excited to see what the U.S. does when other swimmers do, because ultimately when someone swims fast and gets their name out there, it only helps grow the sport, and it's something the sport needs to grow. I think the biggest thing I is kind of not really with World Championships, more college, but I think it would be great if the NC2As moved out of March, so that could be the basketball month, but then swimming could also have their time in the spotlight and get those, because college swimming is so much, is the point system is awesome. It's super fun for swimmers like me to score out meets like that. Who can win this? Who can move up here? And I think if swimming had its time in the spotlight, it could grow the sport tremendously. And I hope that this next week can really grow the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. What was I gonna say? Dang it, I forgot. But yeah, I'm super excited as well. I think it's gonna be just a fantastic meet. I remember. How many world records are going down, if any, at this meet?
I think we could see some 50 go, not necessarily 50 free, but I think some 50s of the other strokes, just because we don't see them as often. They weren't raced last year. I think we could maybe I'm going to give one to each side in the 50s. So maybe at least two. And I hope there's more than two, because world records are fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, and I did forget. Alex Walsh in the IM. I'm pulling for her too. She's another one that I'm a big fan of. I think she's got it. So we're going for Alex Walsh there too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think the world records, I mean, is that the 200 breaststroke world record just got broken. Is that guy swimming?
Let me look. He might be, but I think it's so, with all these people, if it was an Olympic year, I would definitely say yes.
Right.
With all these people choosing to some Commonwealth,
I think that's
so hard to.
That's insane to me. Like, I don't know. Why do you think people pick Commonwealth over the World Championships?
I feel like for them, just what I can see, I feel like there's more national pride in Commonwealth games than there would necessarily be in the World Championships. Gotcha. I don't know a whole lot about Commonwealth.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I don't know. I don't know what I could compare it to for me to know, kind of get a grasp of what it is.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it makes things interesting, and I was really bummed to see that Timus wasn't swimming World Champs, and then Ledecky won't be swimming, dual in the pool. I really want to see that matchup because it would have been a good race between the two of them. But I get Ledecky's reasoning. When you're forced in the spotlight, it kind of takes the fun out of racing, just to race, because there's all that external pressure on you to perform then you can't just really race when it comes down to that. But I support both decisions, and we'll just have to see. And hopefully maybe next year in World Championships, it's crazy to say there's going to be another World Championship next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the world record holder is swimming in the 200 breast.
Gotcha.
Zach.
Yeah.
From Australia.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that one's obviously got a chance to go down again. The 50 backs obviously got a chance to go down again, and I'm sure we'll see probably at least maybe one more. So I'm gonna say maybe 2 or 3. I think 2 or 3 will go down. I think.
Yeah.
Those 50s, definitely. I mean, 'cause especially they just don't happen a whole lot. Maybe not in the Olympic years. I think those 50s, you're right. That's going to be the place to look for that world record. And I could see Dressel getting his fly world record, but I don't see him. I don't think he'll break 47, and I definitely don't think he'll be under 21. But that I think he felt like he had a lot more in the tank on that 100 fly. He was 49.45, and I think I don't know if there was he did a race review on it on his YouTube channel, but I think he was saying he messed up. I don't know, it was the finish or the turn or something. So I think that one has got potential world record. But other than that, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, we can try to predict all we want, but then we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
We don't know who hit their taper better, who didn't hit their taper, who's feeling great, who's not feeling great, who got sick, who didn't get sick. It just all depends on what the lead up is.
Gotcha. And is there one swimmer you think, not to be Debbie Downer here, I just think it's a fun question. Maybe one swimmer that did really good trials, or they're coming on a hot streak? I mean, because there's always a swimmer that comes into the meet. Right. I mean, if you look at Michael Andrew, going to the Olympics, he was 58.1. Everyone thought he maybe had a chance at the world record in the 2 IM. And then he misses the podium and everything. And for me, he was maybe that swimmer that kind of missed expectations. Do you think there's going to be a swimmer? I mean, there's going to be one, but do you have a guess for one that might? It's obviously a hard guess, but do you have one?
It is a hard guess because you never want to wish that. You never want to guess that. You never want to hope someone does bad.
Right.
I feel if anyone, I think would be one of the young U.S. stars being on the team for the first time. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, and you can't. You have to understand where they're at. And I think if someone were to, it would be one of them. And I hope it doesn't come down to that. I wouldn't wish that upon, maybe my worst enemy, but I don't know. But yeah, if someone's going to crack it, I think it's going to be one of those first timers at World Champs.
I agree. I think it would be a young person. I mean, I'm going to be interesting to see what Hunter Armstrong does. How did he do at the Olympics? Do you remember?
I think he was just out of the. He definitely didn't medal. I think he made it into the A final of the 100 back. Right.
I mean, some of me feels like he's got a year under his belt and he'll perform. But after coming off a world record at in Greensboro, I think it's tough. It's tough to follow up another world record after a world record. So
yeah, definitely.
I think that he makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not saying he's gonna not do it, and I hope he does do it. But I think it's going to be tough to follow up a 52.2 and a 24 in the back. But I think he will do it, but he does make me a little bit nervous.
I want to correct. He finished 9th last year in the 100 back.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think he could. Of course, I think he could do it. But then there's always that nervousness. Can he do it? I mean, the World Championships is a lot different than team trials.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely.
Especially that venue too. I mean, Greensboro is a great pool, but the arena they're going to be swimming in Budapest is state is one of the best in the world. So
yeah, for sure. All right, well that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I think that's all for me too. I'm just ready to tune in and listen to Rowdy call some races. One of the best parts of swimming is Rowdy gains. So I'm looking forward to see what not just the U.S. does, but what everyone else does too. Because like I said, fast swimming is fun swimming to watch, and I can't wait to see this next week of racing.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. I mean, I know a little bit about the Americans and the big names, so it was good to kind of have a full insight on the whole meet because you knew your stuff definitely. So,
well, thank you for having me. I like to call myself a swim historian. So
if
you ever need any background info, I would be more than willing to come back and talk with you guys. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe we can maybe in the future. Some of the guests, or for like you can kind of come on for like some guest episodes where we do like kind of preview maybe NCAAs or World Championships or Olympic trials, and we can kind of have a little series with it if you'd be interested.
That'd be awesome. So I'm always open. I'm always willing to talk about swimming.
All right, sweet. All right, that is episode 11 in the books, Last One Fast One podcast. Thanks for joining us.